Hey, what's going on? It's Derek with MyBeatFi, and I thought I'd jump on and give you an update on MyBeatFi IO and just kind of show you some of the new features that we've kind of worked on this week. It's been a long, stressful week. I'm glad that it's coming to an end. It's Saturday, so I'm going to get out of here in a little while, but I figured I'd jump on here and show you what's happening. So you'll notice here on our homepage, we've now added a join as record label or publisher link. If you're an artist that has music, your music would have to be submitted through a record label or publisher. Now, it can be your own record label. It could be, an indie record label. It doesn't have to be a major label, anything like that. Or if you've got a publishing company or you're with a publishing company, it would be them who would have to submit your music. We can't open it up just to artists because I think we'll just end up with a lot of accounts, and then we'll have a lot of accounts that are not being managed or maintained. So I don't want to end up in that situation. So I felt like if we start with record labels and we start with maybe publishers, maybe those individuals might have a little more infrastructure in place already to allow them to come on and actually maintain their account on the site. So if you click on that, it will take you to the sign up. It says rights holders sign up. So basically, these are individuals who have the right to actually license your music. So that's why I was talking about publishers and record labels. Those individuals will have the right normally to kind of, put your music out there, market it for you, that type of thing. If you're an artist. So we've got a record label and then a publisher side. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just whatever you want to register as. And then it just collects your information, right? Then you have to agree to kind of our terms and you create your rights holder account. And then you'll be able to, as a record label, instead of just uploading, like a producer is only going to upload their own, they're only going to upload their own tracks. Well, a record label is going to have multiple artists. So you can upload tracks from different artists to the system, or maybe you're a publisher and you publish for several different artists. You'll be able to kind of manage your artist catalog here on MyBeatFi. So that's kind of the purpose of that. We'll see some of that. Let's see here if there's anything else that we haven't shown you just yet. Let's go to the producer dashboard here. This is going to be something somewhat of a new process for our uploading tracks. We've got now sections that you can go to and you can fill in here. You fill in the information and it's going to ask you for information on each of those pages. And you get to the end and you could submit your music. So it'll ask you for the track title, BPM, what the key is on it, whether it has a sting ending or not, whether it's one-stop production, which it should be, your cover photo. You go ahead, you can either save that progress or just click next. It'll take you to that next page, right? This is where you upload the audio file. Let's do that really quickly. I'll just grab a random MP3. You'll be able to upload your track outs here, your stems, your split sheet. Let's add a split sheet to it. Click next. You'll have your genres here. And then your subgenre, right? So if I click classical orchestral, I've got a number of subgenres that I can choose. So when the client is searching, they're going to be able to look for exactly what they're looking for. Then you have your moods as well. So if I click happy and upbeat, it's going to give me a list of sub moods that I can choose and say, oh, it's playful, it's triumphant, it's carefree. I can select those things, right? So we'll just leave that. We've got instruments now added as well. So if I'm using bass, then I click on that and it's going to open up and say, well, what type of bass? Acoustic bass, just want to leave it as bass, or electric bass. If I add brass, it's going to ask me what type of brass instrument. So I can get a little more specific about what is in my track, right? I'm just adding these right now just so that you can see it. It doesn't pertain to the track itself. Media usage as well. So if we select film, it's going to ask us what type of film. It can be just films itself, independent films, feature films, blockbuster films, short films, documentary series, that type of thing, right? So we'll have choices. If we go to television, then we've got news, drama, TV shows, reality TV. We can get real specific about what type of media this particular music might be good for. And then whether it has vocals or not. If the track has vocals, we're going to select that. Is it a clean version of an explicit song? We'll say no, right? And if it's sync only, right? So those rights holders, or like the record labels and the publishers, a lot of times it's going to be sync only. If you select this sync only, not available for regular licensing checkbox, then that track means they're going to have to submit a proposal to you before they use it. They got to tell you what they're going to use it for, and then they got to tell you what their budget's going to be and when they expect to pay you, and then they'll have that conversation and you'll be able to negotiate that with them right through MyBeatFi. Go to next here. We have our rights page. This is something that's new that wasn't in the process before. It's new, but we need to declare who are the rights owners, right? So who owns the master rights? Who owns the publishing rights? That's going to be extremely important. And then you put in the information, right? So you put in the name, and then you say, okay, this is a record label, this is a publisher, this is, some other company that invested or something and is a rights holder in the master, then they own it, right? And then you declare here that you have the legal authority to actually license the content. So, you may not exactly be the rights holder, or the person who's administrating this at the record label or at the publisher may not actually be the rights holder. Typically, if you're a producer, you're going to be the rights holder. But if you're not the producer and you're just working at the label and you're managing this, then you would say, I have the legal, authority to go ahead and license this content. And then we have split sheet participants. So we had an area before where you could enter a PDF split sheet. I kind of did that in this process as well. And then you could actually manually create one here, right? If you need to create one, it says it's optional. Split sheet PDF already uploaded. I already uploaded one, but if for whatever reason I want to keep that information here, I can do that. So I can add a second participant or third if I want to do that, and remove them if I want to remove them. Work for hire contracts, I just added this today. If you're bringing in musicians, or you had somebody sing on your track, you paid them to sing on your track, then you need to have a work for hire contract with them. This is going to be very important. So you're going to upload that work for hire contract into the system here. And you can upload, I think, up to 4 tracks. Yeah, up to 4 contracts here. So you might have had a band come in, or you maybe had a bass player, and you had a drummer, or you had a guitar player, or somebody came in and played something for you, a violinist or something. You need to show that they signed paperwork saying that they don't have rights to the recording, or the rights to the master, or rights to the writing that was done. You want to say, hey, look, I already paid you for this, and this is the work that you did for me under contract, basically. And I own rights, to what comes out of that session. So you have the ability to add work for hire contracts here. You want that there because if some music supervisor or somebody who's looking to license your music ever has a question about what happened, they've got at least the work for hire contracts. They can go back and look and say, no, I've got you signed here a work for hire contract. So as long as it's legit, you're going to be fine. If you forged it, that's a whole other problem. So we also have sample clearance here, whether your track contains loops, whether it contains splice samples or splice loops, contain samples, maybe from records or something like that, or the samples are actually cleared. So you can actually click that too. Now that will put badging on the track page to let the potential licensor know what they're dealing with. You can't not tell them that you use samples because you can have a copyright problem, right? You can't not tell them that you use a splice loop. So we're generally not accepting AI at all, but we are accepting some loops and some samples because we know people produce like that, and the end client can decide what they want to do with that. Some samples are, a lot more obscure or maybe smaller than others. Like, you're not just interpolating or sampling a huge piece of known work. That's not something that we want, right? But if you're using samples to kind of create your own beat or your own tracks, sometimes we use that, but we need to disclose that we've used it, and we can provide details about it here. So you're going to need to be intimate with your tracks. Not, if you're producing like 30 tracks a day or something, that means you're probably using loops and you're kind of throwing that together with loops or something. You still need to know where that loop came from. Where did you get that loop from? What rights did you get to use that loop? Where's your paperwork for that? All that needs to be here, because you're going to create a problem for your client, later on down the line, and we're going to basically kick you off of the site. You're going to be kicked off the site if we start running into problems with that with you. And you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. So, that's the big thing. And the page after this is co-signers. So that might be somebody else who might be, who might need to sign off or something like that. We have that system in place too, where, you put their name and their email in there. They're going to get an email off of that system, and it's going to say, hey, you need to sign off on this. And they can sign off on it, and we'll get that e-signature back. And then you just review and submit. But I wanted to show you some of this here. I'm not going to go forward because I need to enter all of this information before I can go forward. I'm not going to do that here. But I just wanted you to see what the process is now and how comprehensive it is, and the care that I'm taking to make sure that we have all the information that we need, or as much information as possible, so that we can actually deliver a product in a good and a safe way for the producers, for the artists, for the record label, the publisher, and for the client. The client has to come first. We can't create problems. So I'm also showing this because for those who are interested in maybe getting into sync but don't know a lot about it, there's work that's involved. So it's not you just threw your beat out up there or whatever and something happens. There's work that's involved. You got to have information. You've got to have rights. You got to have the ability to license it. You've got to be on your game. So this is not for everybody, right? So we're only looking for people that are going to be about business. So that's kind of what we've added to the site. Everything else is pretty much there. There's a few little changes here and there that have kind of been added, like our rights verification. So if you have a publishing or record company and you sign up, then we're going to have to approve your sign up as well on the back end. Same as we do with our producers. We'll get that verification in here, and you'll have, here's all the test records and stuff like that we're testing, right? So we can verify it or reject it. And then you'll get, access to the actual system. So so that's kind of where we are. Those are the new features that have been added. I've added a lot of tracks here, of my own personal tracks. You can see here, most of the ones with vocals say submit proposal. Producers can't license tracks. So I'm logged in as a producer. I can't license tracks. But if I was not logged in as a producer, I could click this submit proposal, and it's going to come up with a form and say, hey, what do you want to use this music for, basically? And what are you willing to pay? When are you willing to pay? The producer's going to get all that information, or the record label or the publisher is going to get all that information from the client, so that they can kind of know what they're dealing with. Right before they even answer, they got some information, and then you negotiate and you go from there. But I'm going to continue putting music on here. We need to fill up the catalog, so I'm looking for artists at this point in time. We're looking for producers mainly, but if you're an artist and you're tied to a label, or you're tied to a publisher, or you're going to be managing your own record label and your own productions, and you're going to actually maintain the site, then maybe you can come on as a record label or publisher with us. we just don't want the site to be somewhere where it's just a dumping ground for your music and you're just hoping something happens one day, but you're not actively maintaining it and looking at it and being involved, and adding music to it, not constantly, but you need to be adding music to it regularly. So this is for working musicians, working, artists, people who are active in the space, not somebody who's doing one track here or there every so often and it's kind of got one foot in the game and one foot out. That's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who, this is what I do. Even if I got a job or something on this, that I got to do in the meantime, this is who I am. I'm an artist. I'm really into music. I'm really a producer. This is where my heart is, and this is what I love to do. But complementing that should be the ability to actually do the business side of it too, and be sensible about the business side and really be on your game and having things together. So like I said, it's not for everybody, but it'll be for for those who want to work, and who want to actually do the work and reap the benefits. So it's Derek. I'm gonna get out of here because it's Saturday, it's late, and it's been a long week. I need to go have a drink. We'll holler at you soon. Peace.